my last video, I finished my 27th journal, which means today I am going to be starting my 28th journal. For my past two journals, in my 26th journal and my 27th journal, I've been using an Shui journal. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I have it linked in my Amazon storefront in case you want to check it out, but they have been my favorite journals. So for my 28th journal, I am going to be using another one. It's this light blue color, so pretty. It kind of matches my eyes. It's also just so crazy to me that this is my 28th journal, and I've been making these kinds of videos since I started my 20th journal, which means this is the 9th journal that I've started with you guys. And also, I actually finally made a playlist of all the different videos where I start my journals and where I finish my journals. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't do that sooner, but now all of those videos are in a playlist and you can easily go through and get inspiration for whenever you start or finish a journal of your own. And honestly, just clicking through those videos, you can really see how much I grow and change over time, which is just a really incredible visual when I think about how much life is in between and filled in within a single journal. And it's so special that you guys have been here throughout it all. Let's go ahead and just open up this journal. This is so pretty. And then of course we got this little strap here. I've mentioned this before, but I just love that the strap is the same color as the cover. This is an A5 sized journal. It has these two little ribbon page markers. And then the pages are these bright white numbered pages. I really like that the pages are numbered. I haven't had a journal with numbered pages until I started using Shui journals. I just think it's nice to know how much more of the journal you have left. In the back, there's also this pocket, and it comes with these little tabs. And then there's this little pocket back here, which you can put anything in here, especially if you tape stuff into your journal, whether it be pictures, Polaroids, movie tickets, plane tickets, little scrapbooky things. So for example, I have this sticker here. It's of the rotunda at UVA, and I was thinking of using it in my journal entry when I graduate. So I'm not ready to use it now, but I can put it back here in this little pocket so that I don't lose it. So every time I start a new journal, I always like to do a cover page. And for this journal, I wanted to use the In My Fields journaling pack for the cover page. This is the most recent journaling pack that I came out with Pentel, and I just thought it would be so pretty to do a cover page with the blues with this like gray blue cover. And if you're interested in getting it for yourself, the links to Amazon and Pentel.com are in the description down below. So first things first, I have to write my name. Even after starting 27 journals before this one, I still get a little nervous to write my name because it's the first time I'm putting ink on the page in this entire journal. Also, this is the first journal that I'm starting as a married woman, so I have a new last name. All of my journals before this one, I've always written Carrie Walker. But Walker is now officially my maiden name, which means I'm not gonna write Walker at the start of my journal. I'm still keeping Walker though for my business, so you guys will still know me as Carrie Walker. But for my personal journal, I'm gonna have my new last name. I'm like, where on the line do I start so that it's centered? Here I go. Okay, I don't think it's gonna be centered, but that's okay. Wait, I actually want to take a picture of it and send it to my husband. I'm gonna send it to like all of my sister-in-laws. My brother-in-laws probably don't care, but I'll send it to my sister-in-laws and be like, look. One of them already responded. She said this, look it. That's so sweet. She said, I'm tweaking. Aww. My mother-in-law said, this one will be amazing, this journal, which it will be, and let me tell you why. So my 27th journal was special because it was the majority of my engagement season. I also got married in that journal, and this journal is gonna be so special because my husband and I are actually long distance right now until I finish nursing school, so we kind of just do a back and forth of being together, but he has a job, so he can't be here all the time, and I have nursing school, so I can't be there all the time. And so this journal is going to have me moving. It's also going to hold my graduation, like I already mentioned, taking the NCLEX, maybe getting a nursing job or starting the nursing job maybe. I'm not sure, it kind of just depends on when I start working. But it's going to have a whole lot of beautiful, wonderful milestones in this journal. And so although I was sad to finish my last journal, I also am excited to start this one. For the very first page of this journal, for the cover page, I'm going to be using these colors. They're again from the In My Fields journal pack. Also, the first and the last page of these Shui journals are kind of like awkwardly, I don't know. So you can see it like doesn't fully lay flush with the rest of the pages. The idea that I had for my cover page was to draw like a little watercolor, water looking thing. So I'm gonna put these colors into like an ombre order. And I've never actually done it before, but I've seen a couple people do it. And so I was like, you know what? I wanna try it out. First things first, I'm just gonna make a bunch of colored blobs. And like I said, I'm gonna do it in like an ombre pattern. Okay, so random blobs, just gonna do like that. And so as I'm coloring these in, in, you can see I'm coloring them in kind of like in these long strokes. You don't have to do it like that, but I'm just doing it to help make it look a little bit more uniform. I feel like being mindful of the direction of your pen or marker just makes it look a lot neater than if I were to just kind of like scribble it in. And I'm really not thinking about the shapes that I'm doing this. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I love that starting a journal for me is like an excuse to try something. Also, when I started my 27th journal, I used a color palette that I don't typically use because normally I gravitate towards rainbow colors. Last time I used like a bunch of yellows and oranges, and so this time using a bunch of blues is also something that I don't typically do. Okay, so for this little corner one, I'm just gonna do the best I can to color it in. And then same here, I just want to be careful not to accidentally draw on this page beneath it. So I'm just gonna do this little line here to tell myself like that's where it ends. Now I'm gonna move to my next color, and I'm just going to continue drawing these colorful blobs. I'm gonna try to be mindful of just like trying to fill in these spaces. I don't want them to be like literally touching, but still just kind of getting sort of close, and then continuing to color it in as so. So like I'm kind of just gonna go right around like this and just do a random shape, but then try to have it fill in these empty spaces. And then also as I'm drawing these shapes, I'm kind of doing it in like the windows. So you can see there's two here, and so I'm drawing this one in between, and then there's two here, and then this one's kind of in between, just so it gives like a little bit of a staggered appearance. And then for this one here, I'm gonna kind of go up like this, and then maybe go down like that, and maybe I'll even draw this like little small one right here. So the In My Feels pack also has a darker turquoise, darker than this one that I'm about to use, but I chose not to use it for this specifically just because since I'm drawing water, I don't want the dominating color to be like a turquoisey color. I want it to be mostly blue, so I am going to be using these two turquoises, but I felt like if I included the third turquoise color, like the darkest one, then it would give it even more of a green vibe. Also, as I'm drawing this, I just remembered something that I had completely forgotten about. So like I mentioned, I'm coloring in these blobs in the same direction so that it looks more uniform and neat. And I remembered the very first time I ever saw this done, and it was when I was in 5th grade. We were learning about medieval times or something, and we had to make these like shields that represented who we were, and my 5th grade teacher was coloring in her shield that represented her, and I remember watching her color hers in, and as she was coloring in the like red and the purple, she was coloring everything in the same direction. And I remember sitting next to her coloring in my little shield, and it was all over the place, and I was like super proud of it. I was like, oh, this is looking amazing. But then I saw hers and I was like, wow, it looks so much neater the way that she's doing it, coloring everything in the same direction. And again, I had totally forgotten about that. I don't know why it just popped in my head right now, but I remember in that moment when I was like, what, I don't know, 11 years old or so, maybe 12, I don't know, but it had a lasting imprint on me clearly. So I just think that is pretty cool to think about. Now we are done with all of our little water blobs. They are looking very beautiful. I guess you could call them little puddles, little water puddles, except they're not puddles. They're like the overall water just like blending together. And I know it doesn't really look like water yet, but this is where the magic happens to make it look a little bit more watery. First though, I want to see the bleed through. Honestly, not bad at all. I also am not even planning on writing on this page, so I don't even care. It like didn't even bleed through though. It's just like the ghosting. That's really not bad. Anyway, so like I said, this is where the magic happens. So I am going to take this white pen. This is like a paint pen. Gotta shake it up. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna draw these like random squiggly lines throughout all of the bubbles. And you wanna make sure that the squiggly lines get through every single bubble. have all of these little white lines drawn. What I'm gonna do now though is I'm going to thicken up these white lines, and then also, if you can see, there are these more jagged pointed edges in some of the spots. So what I'm also gonna do is I'm just going to soften those up and make them more curved like so. But I'm also again gonna go over each of these white lines to thicken them up so that they're more visible. Okay, this is what it is looking like. That actually looks really cool, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, it doesn't look like real water, but it's like a cartoon version of water. And then all that I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna write Happy 28th Journal. Or maybe I'll do Hello 28th Journal. Also, it just looks so nice with the cover as well. This light, like gray blue, is almost the exact color as the cover. Okay, so the thing that stinks about this white paint pen that I was just using is that if you were to feel it, you can feel there's like a little chalky texture to it. Nothing crazy, but when I draw over it, it's gonna be annoying, and you'll see what I mean. So I am just going to freehand this. Okay, so now you can see kind of like what I mean here. You can see the white is just kind of showing through the black. And as I was writing too, it like, I could definitely tell that there was a raised texture there. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a Sharpie and I'm gonna lightly go over it. I don't want to be too heavy with this because Sharpies will bleed through really easily, but I just want to try to get rid of the white little shadowing from the paint pen. So I'm just gonna go over it ever so slightly, just where those white ghosting markings are. Look at how beautiful that is. I'm actually really pleased with how this turned out. That just looks so cool. It took a long time. The white paint pen took the longest, and that was my least favorite part of the entire thing, but it looks so pretty. The colors are just so stunning too. And they also kind of match my shirt. Same with the cover. And now I get to write the very first entry in here. I'm going to write the day of the week. It's Tuesday. Wow, something about just writing on the first page. Well, technically it's like the third page, but it's just so full and it just is so nice writing. And then I'm going to write the time that I start the entry. It is 12:40 p.m. and today is April 15th, 2025. I am going to use the same colors that I used on this cover page that I did. I like to start a lot of my journals with a quote of some kind, and typically it ends up like framing the rest of my life within the journal. So I try to find something that feels a little fitting to the season. And for this one, I wanted to write a Bible verse. It's Ecclesiastes 3:11, and I'm not going to write the entire verse, but I'm going to use the first part of it that says, "The Lord makes all things beautiful in his time," which I really love and thought was fitting for this journal because there are a lot of big milestones happening and the Lord will make them happen in his time. Also, I don't remember the whole rest of the verse, but it's something about how the Lord puts all of eternity in man's heart. Okay, I found it. "He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end," which I really love, and it kind of reminds me of a video that I recently made, and I was just talking about the Lord's faithfulness within my journals and how the Lord told my story through me and despite me within my journals. And it's really cool to think about the whole picture of my life within my journals, for all of my journals combined, and yet I still don't know all of the things to come in the future that the Lord has in store for me. So I just think that's really beautiful within the context of the season of life that I'm in, and just with the remainder of my life to come as well. And even thinking about my stack of journals right here, all of the history of my life. I mean, there were things that happened before that that I didn't know, and even the things that did happen, I didn't know that all of those things were going to happen. And so I just think it's really beautiful beautiful. So I thought I would write that verse at the top. Okay, so I'm going to use the same colors as before. I'm going to start out with the light blue. I think I'm just going to alternate colors for every word. I also think I'm going to switch up the fonts as well. So I'm going to do the in lowercase, and then switching colors here. I'm going to write Lord in all caps. You can see for the R here, I did like the curve towards the bottom rather than doing it like halfway down the stem. And then I think I'm going to do makes in the same font as the. And then I am going to do all things. And I think for this, I'm going to do a lowercase font, but one that takes up 2 lines. So it'll be like a bigger font, different than this one. I'm going to do like a big A like that, but it's still a lowercase a, you know, but it's still taking up a larger amount of space. And then I'm going to switch colors for the word things. And then for the word beautiful, I am going to do that in a cursive font, just because I feel like it's the most beautiful one. And then last but not least, I'm going to write in the same font as the beginning here. And I think I'm going to write his in the same font as Lord. So I'm going to do the H, and just like I did the R like this where it meets on the lower half, I'm going to do the same thing with the H and do it towards the bottom there. The I doesn't matter, but then for the curve of the S, I'm also going to go a little lower. So you can see like the difference of this S versus that S where the curve happens in this lower half. And then for time, I'm just going to do the same font as the other smaller words. And then lastly, I'm just going to write Ecclesiastes underneath it. I always like overthink how to spell Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes. And then it is 3:11. That's so cute. I kind of want to do little like accents and stuff. I think I'll do like this, the little whiskers for all things. And then maybe I'll do like some little sparkles for beautiful. Do some other sparkles over here. And some little, I don't know, star sparkly things. And then some little circle sparkles, I don't know. And then I will underline his, like in a little squiggly underline. And then maybe I'll underline this too, just to add another one. Ta-da. I think that looks so cute. I love it. And then I have the bottom half of the page to just write whatever. As I'm writing this, I'm going to write extra slow to be very mindful of my handwriting, just so that it looks really neat and pretty for this like first journal entry of the journal. Obviously, in the pages to come, it will not be super neat and pretty at all times. There will definitely be scribbly journal entries in the days ahead, but for now, I just wanted it to look nice and neat and pretty. So I said, what a sweet reminder as I start my 28th journal, and I wrote sweet in like a little cursive font. And then I said, there are so many milestones coming up that this journal will hold, and I take comfort that will happen. And I take comfort that they will happen in the Lord's perfect timing. Okay, let me just add a little caret here and write they. That the milestones will happen in the Lord's perfect timing. Even the unknowns that lie ahead, I trust the Lord will use it for his good. Okay, and then what should I write for the last couple lines? Okay, I just wrote, I am feeling so excited for this journal, and I am so grateful for that. Okay, this is the final journal entry. So pretty. It's super straightforward, nothing too fancy about it. Feel free to replicate this if you want, or this too, if you want to put in the time to do this. I think this looks so cool. So pretty. It was really easy too. Just took a second. Wow. Honestly, I feel like what's almost more nerve-wracking is the second entry, because that's when you're like settling into the journal a little bit more. The first one definitely feels pretty performative for me, because I'm like, it's the first one. But then the second one, it's like, it doesn't need to be perfect and pretty. Not that the first one does either. I just put that pressure on myself, especially because I'm like filming it and showing an idea for you guys. But the second one, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start finding my flow in this journal. Not everything's gonna be perfect and pretty. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and comment down below your favorite quote or Bible verse or something for inspiration for somebody else for their beginning of the journal quote, if you so choose to use one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys!